Irene Chair. I'm from Cameroon, from the Northwest region. And I've been in Cyprus for 7 years now. I'm a specialist consultant on trafficking, integration issues, a cultural mediator, an EU project officer. I do a lot when it comes to integration, and I feel so happy to be here today. When he reached out, I was like, okay, because it is very important when our African communities are beginning to realize how important it is to talk about issues like this. Coming from where we are, it's so easy for us to have a misconception about what mental health is. And from my experience of working with the migrant community, I realized that a lot of us have different issues that we have experienced from the past, and because it wasn't talked about, it has affected us in much more aggravated ways. We have tended to transfer those issues to our children, to our spouses, to our friends, to our colleagues, because we didn't realize how dangerous it is for our own well-being. So when he reached out, I was like, okay, this is something very interesting. But I would try as much as, can we just have it more like a dialogue form where you can ask me a question and I'm going to respond. In as much as I have everything prepared, if you feel like you want to ask me something on the way, you can always stop me so we can get into that. And for the past years that I've been in Cyprus, I've come in contact with victims of trafficking who have experienced a lot of traumatic experience, and that made me to realize that there is more to trauma than what we think it is. There is more to depression, there is more to anxiety. So I'm going to give you brief definitions of those things, the signs and symptoms of those things, and we'll try to see how we can tackle the stigma that we have in our African communities. These are things that are very important because Cyprus has a lot of stress with the asylum, with the police, with everything that we do. Thinking about the bills, thinking about how you're going to feed, thinking about your kids, those things can make you to get into depression. Those things can cause you to have anxiety. Those things can even cause you to start reacting unusual without you even realizing that you're acting that way. So I'm going to start from the first one. So today we are focusing on the focus group discussion on mental health and wellness in the African community. And under that, we're going to be breaking the misconceptions, encouraging dialogue, and promoting well-being. This topic is going to help you not only in Cyprus, but even out of Cyprus. Even if you're not going to use it here, think of the fact that whatever you will learn today, you can transfer it to somebody. And most time when I have a session, I always tell people, put in your mind that what do I want to go back home with today? You should be able to leave this place with one thing that you can remember by the time you step out of this door. You don't have to remember everything, but you can choose exactly what you want to catch up with. It could be reason why I should seek psychological help, reason why I feel the way I feel. So anything from here, try as much as possible to pick one thing before leaving from here. So the first thing I'm going to focus on is an introduction of what mental health is. I'm sure all of us have heard the word mental health, and we are wondering that, is it all about someone who is crazy? Is it all about someone who walks on the street and picks up papers like how we all think? But there is more to that. So mental health is just as important as physical health, yet it is often misunderstood or ignored in our African community. We all know that, right? We know very well that we tend to ignore the whole topic of mental health. And it's not because we want to ignore it, because it is not being talked about most of the times in our homes, in our communities. But today we're going to change that whole misconception. The reason why I feel so happy to be here is because we are all one person, and it feels so good to realize that we are beginning to see how important this kind of topics can really help us now in our livelihood. And now we're going to see how the reason why we sometimes ignore this thing is due to what the stigma, cultural beliefs, and its lack of awareness. Because there is a stigma from back home, because there is unawareness, because there is cultural belief, we tend to ignore what mental health is. This discussion aims to open a dialogue, it aims to break misconceptions, and it aims to promote your well-being, your wellness. Because when you are healthy, you can be able to tackle life from every direction. The moment you have a depressed mind, trust me, when you are at work, you may end up losing your job because why? You weren't focused. But the moment you are healthy, you have the ability to work perfectly well.